Hey everyone, it's David out here in Korea on week 26. I'm momentous week because it officially marks that I'm halfway done out here. This week started out kind of hazy and kind of cloudy, but it's been that way for the most part, almost all week. So I started out this week going with a friend out to eat at our favorite Japanese curry place. Pretty good. Along the way back, we stopped at a grocery store and I found these Capri Suns in a can. I just thought that was pretty cool. I haven't seen these ever before, but actually they were a pretty big disappointment as they didn't taste anything like Capri Sun. But while I was at the store, I decided to get some tofu, and I had to ask somebody which one's the firm tofu, and they said it was this one right here with the blue label on it. So I immediately tried to open that up and spilt the tofu water everywhere. And after cleaning that up, I had seen my lovely wife make this recipe before. You just take tofu and you got to squeeze and drain all the liquid out of it, and that takes a little bit. So I decided while I was going to do that, I was going to go to the gym and let all that water drain out of there. By the time I got back from the gym, most of the liquid had been drained out of the tofu. And so after untucking it from its little bed, I ended up cutting this up into about an inch squares, inch cubes, and throwing that into a bowl and then coating that with nutritional yeast, which is kind of like a cheese substitute, and then added a little bit of celery seed to that, and on top of that added this tomato bouillon and coated it really good in that, and then made sure it was all saturated and as covered as it could possibly be. And then after that was covered up, threw that in the air fryer, and then let that cook for about 18 minutes or so. And then whenever it comes out of there, it's nice and crispy and really good, and just soft on the inside and crispy on the outside. Later in the week, much more of the same type of weather, overcast, cloudy, and air quality just didn't look that great outside, so stayed indoors as much as possible. And it was a good time to stay indoors because I had gotten a package from my mom, and she sent over some white corn shells, which are pretty cool. I hadn't had those before. I also sent over an art easel that I've been needing because my perspectives on my drawings are a little bit off, so thank you, Mom, for sending that over. Also a bunch more art supplies that I was desperately in need of, and a couple of different food items from back home as well. So thank you again, Mom, for sending all that stuff over. Also in the box was a couple of Easter candies, which I promptly ate. I hadn't seen these before, donut Kit Kats, and then a gummy burrito, which I ate all of about a minute after filming this, and dark chocolate pistachio bars, which I really love. Also a couple of different tuna packets, gotta get that protein in. And then I thought this was really cool, a little squirrel for the bonsai tree. And every bonsai tree is supposed to have a little ornament on it, so after unpacking that, I put the squirrel right next to the bonsai tree, and the squirrel looks a little bit feminine, so I'm going to say it's a she squirrel, but I put her next to the tree, and that's where she hangs out now. Later in the week, the weather kind of cleared up just a little bit, just enough to be able to see out and see the mountains in the distance and the towns in the distance. So still very, very cold, but the weather was getting a little bit better. That same night, we had an outing with some people that I work with, so we ended up going to this cool little restaurant, which is pretty neat. It was on the third floor, fourth or fifth floor, actually, not third floor. And at that place, it was pretty neat because once the lights go down, they have this kind of like a holographic moon that projects out, and so from any way that you view it from inside of the restaurant, it's like a 3D image of a moon that's projected out like 20 feet from the actual window, which is pretty cool. So you can sit at the table right next to it, and it seems like it's right there, but it's really not. It's kind of neat. I also signed up for an art class this week, and the art class was making these ocean waves out of resin pouring. So I've always wanted to get into resin pouring, and so when this class was offered, I thought that'd be a good idea. I'll try my hand at that. So I ended up doing 2 different resin pouring things, and it came out pretty good. I was happy with the way it turned out, and now I can't wait to resin pour some stuff. At the end of the week, I really wanted some scallops. I hadn't had seafood in a long time that I made at home, so I decided I'd go ahead and try my hand at it and air fry some scallops. So I ended up buying this package of smaller scallops and just ended up seasoning those with some Julio seasoning And after they were good and seasoned, threw them into the air fryer and let those cook for a little while. After about halfway through the cooking process or so, I threw in some broccoli on top of that and let that all air fry together for about 20 minutes or so. And then after that came out, I had to season it just a little bit more because all the seasoning kind of fell off after I shook it so much. But after that was nice and seasoned, came out pretty good. Broccoli and scallops topped with some sriracha mayo. Overall, pretty good dinner. So after a couple of clear days, the cloudy and dreary days came back again. So I decided to go for a little bit of a walk, and I wore a mask outside just because the air quality is so bad. It's kind of recommended that you don't spend too much time outside, and if you do, you wear a mask around. And so I decided to take a walk, and since it was the weekend, everything was pretty deserted, but I decided to get out and just see some different stuff and explore a little bit more of the area. And it's still pretty dead, still pretty wintry looking around here. I think within the next couple of weeks it's supposed to start getting a little bit warmer, but not by much. So I took the time this day to go get some batteries for one of my guitars. The batteries died in it, so I had to go find some new ones. That's brought me to this little dollar store that I often frequent, and the store has a bunch of cool little stuff in it. You can always find cheap things that look pretty neat to send back home, or if you need something inexpensive, you can always come here and grab it. And since I was over in that area, I decided to go ahead and run to my grocery store that I often frequent. And in there, I just grabbed a few things, just some stuff to have throughout the week. And while I was there, I saw they had this big ice cream aisle also, and I think I've been getting a little bit out of control with my eating, so I need to get it back in, rein it back in a little bit. So as a last hurrah, before I start cleaning it back up, I bought these cool little sandwiches here. I got another box from my dad and started opening that one up to end up this week. And I got some H-E-B goodies in there and some more jerky. Jerky's always welcomed out here. Little sewing kit, a couple of white chocolate covered pecans, and some peanut butter pretzels, and this cool little Kleenex box with a Texas star on it, and of course a thrifty nickel. And also a package of sweet potatoes, since that package of sweet potatoes probably cost a quarter of what one sweet potato out here costs, so thankful for those. And then at the same time, I also got a package from my lovely wife, who included some very sour gum that I ate and instantly made my mouth water because it was so sour. And she sent me over some licorice that I like from Trader Joe's that can't get from out here. Also some chocolate-covered pretzels, and it's a cool little tin of Bob Ross mints, along with some of my favorite socks. And that pretty well wrapped up the week for me. It was a short week, short video, but thanks everybody for watching, and God bless.